After watching the documentary on the YMCA, I definitely learned a lot. Honestly, I didn't know a lot about the YMCA. It never really, I don't know, it was never really something that was like, ooh, let's learn about the YMCA today, you know? It was just like a place that I knew of, but I didn't really know a lot about it, truly. One of the things that I wish everyone knew, I guess a few of the things, the history of the YMCA, I think it's really interesting, honestly, just to know the history of it and everything like that. I found it really interesting, and I think a lot of other people would too. It's also really interesting how fast the YMCA grew. I think they said within 11 years, 397. There was 397 in 9 nations. That's crazy within 11 years. And I also like the way that they didn't pick sides on the war, or like in the wars. I think it just shows the true colors of the YMCA. I think that kind of really shows who they are from the beginning, and they're still like that to the end, you know? Like that just set the stage for who they are and who they were going to be. I did gain new insight on the YMCA. I really enjoyed hearing about the war specifically, again, how they didn't choose sides and stuff like that, showing their true character. I also enjoyed hearing about the Y and the GI Bill for the soldiers. I personally found that really interesting because my stepdad was in the Army, so I get benefits from the GI Bill, I think chapter 35, so it was really cool to hear that, like, the YMCA kind of started that, and that's what it is now. Like, that's crazy to me to think about, honestly. I would have never known without watching the documentary. I'm inspired by this documentary to look more into backgrounds of public nonprofits around me, because I would have never known the history or the extent of the YMCA and how big of an organization it is, but also just like the history is really interesting. I wouldn't have known if I didn't watch this documentary, and if I wasn't in this class, I would have been completely oblivious, probably all of my life, to be honest. And it makes me want to look into more public nonprofits around me and see like how their backgrounds affected society as well, because obviously the YMCA has affected or impacted, I guess, society in a really big way. I do think that the YMCA is living up to George Williams' vision. I think they impacted the growth on society tremendously between war, the race issues. They said they're one of the biggest child care organizations still to this day. And also, it was really cool to hear about them inventing most of the popular sports that America runs on right now, you know? The only thing that I would say the YMCA is lacking was, in George's words, to extend God's grace for others. I didn't know that the YMCA was originally a Christian organization, or that, like, technically now it still is, but it's just not as spoken about. I had no idea that it was a Christian organization at all, and I found that really interesting and cool. My opinion on the Y, before I watched this documentary, I knew nothing about the YMCA, to be honest. It was just an organization to me. I mean, that's all. I really knew nothing. And after the video, I think my opinions on the Y have changed tremendously. I have a lot more, like, respect for the organization. Not that I didn't before, but now I have a reason to really respect the organization, because they've impacted society in such a big way. that I never knew about. So I think that was really cool. Yeah, that's my opinions on the YMCA.